From Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, all is now set for Osun governorship election as INEC conclude distribution of election materials. Court orders upward review of judges' salaries. Inflation hits 18.6% in Nigeria, according to the National Bureau of Statistics. And on the foreign scene, Sri Lanka swears in acting leader after mass protest. Hello and welcome. My name is Diron Onifade. The Independent National Electoral Commission on Friday said all is set for tomorrow's governorship election in Osun State. The resident electoral commissioner in the state, Professor Abdulgani Raji, said all that needed to be done has been done. Speaking in Oshogbo, Raji said INEC is fully prepared for the election.
We are fully prepared. I can tell you that if election is going to take place today, we are good to go. We have taken delivery of all the non-sensitive materials. We have ensured that we did all voter education and sensitization. We covered all the primaries. All the parties have been, all the candidates, the list has been displayed. Every other steps have been taken. We have also ensured that all our racks, all our collation centers, all our PUs are intact. In fact,
Country Director, National Democratic Institute, Stephen Snook, says ensuring inclusive economic growth and development is critical to tackling the growth challenge of vote buying in Nigeria. Snook spoke exclusively to Trust TV's Shafiu Suleiman on the sidelines of the news conference by the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps on its preparedness for Saturday's governorship election in Osun State. The report.
Candidates in Osun State vote to elect a governor. One of the major factors that could undermine the democratic process is the growing tendencies of vote buying. This, according to Stephen Snook, constitutes a major setback for Nigeria's democratic process.
Democracy is one piece in a puzzle that's called national development. And the underlying problems of vote buying certainly have to do with people who feel that they are deprived of an economic means to a living. So one hopes that the further maturation of Nigeria's democracy, combined with sustained and improved economic growth, will remove the underlying cause of the problem.
One of the security agencies working to secure the nation's electoral environment, the Civil Defense Corps, seems to be alive to confront this democratic challenge. The agency is also concerned about activities of miscreants wanting to undermine the process.
Corps also established anti-vote buying squad to work with other anti-fraud agencies. We are partnering other sister agencies to ensure a hitch-free form and to guarantee crime-free environment to enable eligible voters exercise their voting rights.
The electoral umpire and civil society groups are also not resting on their oars as they engage in relentless advocacy to tackle especially the twin issues of vote buying and potential violence.
Because of the socio-economic state of the state, of Osun State, and of course because of the fiscal sustainability of the state also. You know, we need to look at the rate of the debt growth and that of the IGR. You know, one is growing at geometric progression, the other is growing at arithmetic progression.
We have also found out, and intelligence reports coming to us, is that politicians now make money and food available to people in the communities and ask them not to come out to vote. So beyond vote trading, there's also vote suppression.
By these threatening challenges, however, stakeholders in the Osun governorship election are ready to ensure a peaceful and credible exercise through transparent process. Shafiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Oshogbo.
A federal high court in Oshogbo, Osun State capital, has restrained the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, from deploying operatives of Amotekun Corps for election duties. Trust TV's Hamidu Egbade reports that the council told the People's Democratic Party, Hashim Abioye, sought an order of interlocutory injunction from the court to prevent Amotekun from partaking in the July 16 governorship election in Osun State. Justice Emmanuel Ayola granted the order restraining Amotekun from deploying or volunteering her officers, agents, staff as part of the security personnel for the election. The Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, has warned that without proper monitoring, the Osun governorship election could be exposed to dangers of massive rigging and vote buying, like the 18th June 2022 Ekiti election governorship election. This is as the organization's Election Analysis Center said, although the election would constitute a standard test of capacity for the Independent National Electoral Commission, the center, while delivering its pre-election statement, lamented that the spate of vote buying, despite the 2022 Electoral Act, has not reduced.
This campaign by the major candidates, the rising cases of cultism and street gangs in the state could be appropriated for electoral violence. With the current security reality, the Osun State governorship election will require an efficient deployment of security personnel. Despite the 2022 Electoral Act, the spate of vote buying has not reduced. This was evident in the Ekiti State governorship election and likely to be worse in the Osun State governorship election.
From all accounts that we are getting, vote buying may also be a dent on the elections. I think we tend to believe that vote buying is exceptional to our own political culture. But we all know, of course, that vote buying occurs in many other countries where elections are conducted.
Leadership crisis is rocking the Bauchi State chapter of the New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, leading to the suspension of the state acting chairman, Sani Malam. The suspension followed what the party described as gross indiscipline and disrespect to the national leadership. Adamu Imam completes the story.
During a press briefing, NNPP Northeast Zonal Secretary Babayo Liman says he had warned Sani Shehu to stop parading himself as the acting chairman of the NNPP in Bauchi State, pending investigation of 6 allegations leveled against him in a query letter.
The query is not a termination letter, it's not a suspension letter. It's something that you will receive the query and respond to it accordingly. But he refused to even collect the query, not to even respond to what we have said in the query. So that is the character that is shocking each and every one of us in the state and in the zonal office. I'm the zonal secretary, I'm the one that signed the letter, he has my phone number. And even if it is from somewhere else, when you issue a query or a letter, you must receive the letter to see the contents of that letter. So you do not even receive the query, not to even talk, knowing the contents of that letter.
The zonal secretary said the content of the letter is part of the decision taken by the party's executive at the national level, which urged the embattled acting chairman to respond.
So I'm appealing to them to cooperate with the secretariat, to cooperate with the leadership of the zonal, as well to cooperate with the leadership of the national, given the fact that soon they are going to announce the new chairman that is going to receive the mantle of leadership. We are not in a hurry to appoint the chairman until and unless we have sought the consent of each and every executive and the members of the NNPP in Bauchi before we will appoint the new chairman to take the mantle of leadership.
On the other hand, another group executive network of the party said the purported suspension of the state acting chairman, Sani Malam, stand rejected. Legal advisor of the group, Mohammed, says the action is unconstitutional, null and void, as according to him, no due process is followed, and the zonal secretary has no constitutional right to suspend any member of the state executive. He said if any member of the party is accused of any wrongdoing, a disciplinary committee must be set up to investigate the accused, a fair hearing and the opportunity to defend himself and submit their recommendations before taking any action. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
Retirement of 11 resident electoral commissioners ahead of the 2023 elections is raising concerns on the successful conduct of the elections. 9 other resident electoral commissioners are due for retirement in August. However, INEC National Commissioner and Chairman Information and Voter Education Committee Festus Okoye said that Nigerians should not worry as the concerns are being addressed. Musa Luka reports.
The National Commissioner and Chairman Information and Voters Education Committee, Festus Okoye, has confirmed that 11 resident electoral commissioners have retired. They were commissioners in charge of Kogi, Plateau, Yobe, Bauchi, Gombe, Rivers, Oyo, Imo, Enugu, Abia, and Anambra State. Okoye added that from the 15th day of August, the resident electoral commissioners for Adamawa, Niger, Kano, Katsina, Kaduna, Sokoto, Akwa Ibom, and Oshun will complete their tour of duty. Okoye said that it is the responsibility of the presidency to appoint resident electoral commissioners, affirming that the presidency is aware and believed to be working toward filling the vacuum.
When a resident electoral commissioner is appointed, the presidency issues a letter of appointment to such a resident electoral commissioner, and that letter emanates from the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. So the presidency and the executive are aware of the retirement of these resident electoral commissioners, and we are confident that they are working around the clock to make sure that new resident electoral commissioners are appointed. And for those who have served just only one term, there may be the need, or the president may see the need to reappoint some of them. But it is at the entire discretion of the president who is appointed as a resident electoral commissioner and who is not appointed. The commission has nothing to do with that.
Speaking on the permanent voters card registration, Okoye said that the commission is working hard toward ensuring that citizens participate in the registration.
This commission has given its all to make sure that every registrable Nigerian gets an opportunity of registering. The registration of voters is a voluntary thing. In other words, if you want to be registered, you must show up to any of our registration centers to be registered. We also opened an online portal through which people did their pre-registration. We have 7 services in that portal. The only service we have suspended in relation to our online services is the service relating to pre-registration for new registrants.
Also affirming the readiness of the Commission for Osun governorship election, Okoye said the commission is fully ready for the election as materials and personnel are on ground.
Well, in relation to the Osun governorship election, this commission is ready. We carried out what we call readiness assessment between the 3rd day of July and the 7th day of July. And the chairman and national commissioners visited over 5 of the local government areas of Osun State. And we confirmed that our non-sensitive materials have been biased to PU level. So in terms of non-sensitive materials, there's no issue.
INEC has fixed February 25th, 2023 for presidential and national assembly elections. Musa Luka, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Former Anambra State Governor and Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi has met with Chairman Northern Elders Forum Ango Abdullahi in Zaria as part of his political drive to gain support in the region. His running mate, Dr. Yusuf Baba Ahmed, however, did not accompany him during the consultation visit. Speaking to newsmen shortly after the visit, the Labour Party presidential candidate said he came to discuss some political issues with the elder statesman.
First, I'm in Zaria to pay a courtesy call to a father. You can't embark on the journey we're embarking without courtesies and respect to the fathers of the nation. That is where you start. And also to be able to, not just what I call introductory visit, be able to elucidate to him why the need to begin to overhaul and build a new Nigeria that will be productive. Because as you see today, Nigeria is not productive, Nigerians are hungry, Nigerians are jobless, Nigerians are looking for a new opportunity in life. And that is what I've come to elucidate. We cannot have all the vast land we have in the north, and Nigerians are hungry. And Nigeria is not a nation to be reckoned with.
And outside politics and election matters, the National Industrial Court, Abuja, on Friday ordered the federal government to put machinery in place for the immediate review of the salaries and allowances of judicial officers in Nigeria. Justice Osatunwen Obaseki Osage, who issued the order, held that the current salary and allowances of judicial officers in the country is not only abysmal, but embarrassing. Madia Umar reports.
Delivering judgment in a suit instituted against the federal government by a senior advocate of Nigeria, Sebastian Han, Justice Obaseki Osage ordered the federal government to commence a monthly payment of 10 million naira to the Chief Justice of Nigeria, 9 million to other justices of the Apex Court, as well as the President of Court of Appeal, 8 million to other justices of the Appellate Court, and the chief judges of both federal and states high court, and 7 million to judges of the federal and states high court. This, to many, is a new era for judicial officers in Nigeria, as the judge held that the refusal of the government to review the judicial officers' salaries and allowances for 14 years was unconstitutional, unlawful, and should be compelled to do the needful. The former Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Kanwagabi San, who was present in court alongside other senior lawyers, speaks on the judgment.
So, the judgment of this court is that the Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Commission should review the salaries of the judges and the justices. And I make appeal to the Attorney General of the Federation and the Chairman of the Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Commission to see to it that this judgment is implemented immediately. I thank my brother S.T. Horn here, who initiated this case for a declaration that the salaries of our judges should be reviewed. Do you know that for 14 years they have been on the same salary? Do you know that?
The plaintiff, Sebastian Han, could not hide the excitement that greeted the ruling.
I feel on top of the world. I have been in this fight since 2013. I was the first person to roll out figures, comparative figures between America, Ghana, Kenya, South Africa, and the rest of what judges and justices are earning there and what they're earning here. And that earned me an editorial with The Nation. The Nation newspaper carried an editorial praising me. And in all subsequent interviews, if asked, I have always said that they are living on very poor salaries and emoluments. Today is a watershed. Today is the hallmark of a new dawn in the justice sector of this country. I believe that this fight is not personal. This fight is for everybody in Nigeria. Because without the judiciary, there can be no Nigeria.
Well, employers may want to take note now that salary increase is now justiciable. Some members of primary schools retirees in Delta State have staged a protest over non-payment of their pension and gratuity arrears. Protest took place at the government house at Sabah. The report.
These retirees are demanding an increase in the sum of payment for the offsetting of their outstanding pensions and gratuities. To show their grievances, the pensioners blocked a major street leading to the government house, causing traffic jam. leader of the group, Helen Ajay, said although the state government has been assisting to offset the bills, further stressed the need for government to alleviate their suffering by changing what she termed paltry monthly payment of their benefits.
Gratuity into our group to pay. Then we formed this association. It was after our first protest, it began to pay 150 million. You can imagine 150 million to pay over 6,000 people. At a time in June 2017, he stopped paying. We come again. It was then increased it to 300 million. Then we appeal to increase this money so that it can, every year people continue to retire, increasing the number.
Governor Ifeanyi Okowa, who in previous interviews insisted on continuing the contributory pension scheme due to its better welfare benefits to retirees, received the protesters.
Many of the states still operating as of today enlisted their fresh workers into the contributory pension scheme and left the old workers to continue on the old pension scheme. But unfortunately in Delta State, before my administration, they enlisted almost everybody. So by the time we came into governance in 2015, we were owing well over 100 billion. So we have refused, even when we know the difficulty, we have refused to exit that scheme as other states have done. After paying for the contributory pension and paying the old pension, we were paying for the backlog on a monthly basis about 500 million monthly.
For the retirees, they have decided to make this protest a monthly exercise until the state government meets their demand.
Recently released figures by the National Bureau of Statistics indicate that Nigeria's inflation rate rose in June to 18.6% on year-on-year basis. The NBS and its Consumer Price Index June 2022 report explained that this represents an increase of 0.84% compared to the 17.75% rate recorded in June 2021. Increases were recorded in all classifications of individual consumption in 2022. Inflation rates have kept on rising, going from 15.6% in January to 15.7% in February and 15.92% in March. The inflation rates kept on rising to 16.82% in April, while it settled to 17.7% in May. Just before the most recent rise, the World Bank had listed Nigeria among 10 countries in the world with the worst inflation rates. The Global Bank's assessment is based on 2021 figures. Earlier, Trust TV spoke to Desmond John, an economist and a public affairs analyst, on the development and asked how these statistics correlate with what is happening in the country.
It's as a result of the high cost of productions. You know, recently you can hear about the cost of diesel, which you use to produce most of our available household needs. You know, the demands are high, but the cost of production are also going high. You can see that the country has no fixed control of the fuel because of there's no power. So every producers, every manufacturers source its powers locally, and the major source of power as of today is diesel. And the cost of diesel has skyrocketed from 600 naira per litre to 850 naira per litre. So, and the demands for these goods is still the same. In fact, it's rising. Recently, we had a celebration in Nigeria that virtually encouraged, you know, more supplies, more buying. And we cannot produce and sell at the same rate, at the same price, when the cost of our production is high. Government needs to finance its own local production. When I mean finance its own local production, what are the key factors that support our production? For instance, the refinery. How can we don't have, there's nowhere diesel is being produced in Nigeria. So immediately the price of crude oil goes higher.
Everything goes higher.
The producers of that oil will also increase the price, and definitely it's going to affect the local market. But if we are producing oil in Nigeria, the refined products, then we can be sure that we can maintain some level of inflation. Inflation rise is a global phenomenon. In Nigeria, you've seen the trend. It's since 1960, we've never had it less than this. So, and our source of production, our supportive arm of production has not been developed. And there is no sign that these things are going to come up as soon as possible. So how do you produce without them?
You're watching News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up after the break, waste dumping killing aquatic life. Stay with us.
Where do they get food? How do they survive? Who is providing them with food? Are you not asking questions about the arms and ammunitions? What is the source? How are they getting it? For how long we've been fighting them? These are questions that you need to ask.
Do you mean that we should vacate all our villages, all our farms, all our houses, and surrender them to bandits? And wait for Police Officer General Emeka all the way from Enugu to come to Kaduna and rescue me? Defend yourself.
If the federal government is serious about curtailing this banditry, I can assure you it has the strength and the forces to do it.
They were angered by my absence, so they decided to burn my house. Had it been I was present when they come, they would have killed me. An kai musu naira miliyan 9 suka sako diyana sannan suka ce ni kuma ba za su kini ba.
Kidnapping is just an extension of catch rustling.
Nigerians, elections are here again. Let us shun violence. Let us play the game according to the rules. Do not be a thug. Say no to violence. Let's rise and defeat violence, crime, and sabotage against the peace of our nation. Nigeria is the only country we have. We must do everything to keep it united. We must avoid any act that promotes hate and disintegration. Say no to separatist movement, terrorism, fake news, hate speech, religious bigotry, and any act that tends to divide us as a nation. Watch out for strange gatherings and suspicious movements. Restrict access to sensitive documents and data, the disclosure of which may damage national security. Educate your staff and family, particularly on measures to safeguard information and report security breaches. Apply relevant legal security guidelines to protect yourself and your neighbors. Due to misinformation and wrong choices, some idle persons resort to vices in their greed to get rich quick. They resort to kidnapping, killings for rituals, and other heinous crimes. Avoid wrong use of the social media. Before you broadcast that false message, think twice. Ask whether it will promote peace or violence. For safety at home, still be security conscious. Educate your household on safety tips. Report all suspicious movements and persons to the security agencies nearest to you. Be a good citizen. Be patriotic. To pass security information, please call 0813-222-2105, 0915-339-1309, 0908-837-3514, or send a mail to dsspr@dss.gov.ng. This message is from the Department of State Services, DSS.
If you're just joining us, this is News Hour on Trust TV, a recap of our top stories. All is now set for Osun governorship election as INEC concludes distribution of election materials. And court ordered upward review of judges' salaries. Corps Marshal of the Federal Road Safety Corps, Boboyi Oyeyemi, has said the Corps will enforce the ban on spy number plates by the police. Usman Baba, Inspector General of Police, gave the order on Wednesday. In a statement, Bisi Kazim, core public education officer, quoted Oyeyemi as commending the IGP and describing his order as a bold step. Oyeyemi asked commanding officers of the corps across the nation to join hands with the police to ensure the order is enforced. Road users who also parade faded number plates should endeavor to replace them with new ones so as to avoid impounding their vehicles. There are implications of the continued use of faded and other unauthorized vehicles to the national security. The use of the spy and other unauthorized number plates to continually violate traffic rules and regulation must be brought to a halt. Hence, the directive given to commanding officers to brace up and ensure that they give adequate priority to the enforcement. Oyeyemi also asked commanding officers to impound private vehicles that are using commercial plate numbers. The Borno State Police Command has arrested 67 suspects in June and July 2022. The suspects, according to the police, were involved in rape, gun trafficking, fraud, among other criminal activities. The report.
The Borno Police Command is currently investigating cases of possession of dangerous weapons and causing grievous hurt, possession of Indian hemp, and fraud. The Public Police Relations Officer, Sani Kamilu, said 30 suspects were arrested for gun trafficking and possession of arms, adding that 11 suspected armed robbers and 2 suspects for alleged fraud and rape were also apprehended.
One Buhari Malam Mohammed of Gomari Airport, Maiduguri, reported to this office that a syndicate of persons who claim to be spirits, Aljanu, from the inner world deceived him into believing that they were sent by God to financially reward him. Based on his positive integrity, that they met him to go to a designated location at Government Girls Secondary School, Maiduguri, and
she's 10 years old. When I was coming back from the market, I saw her at a shop. She said she wants us to go somewhere quiet, so we went to a building where I slept with her. While we were at it, people saw us. I paid her 30 naira. They called my elder brother and he collected their money and 3 phones, and they are now claiming it's 5 phones. That's what happened. My elder brother is the one doing this fraud business. I have nothing to do with this. I just found myself here in the police station. I loaded passengers from Gamburungala. While on my way, a soldier at a checkpoint gave me a small bag, saying that it's an MP3, that I should give it to a colleague in Maiduguri. I never knew that it was bullets inside until 2 days ago I was arrested. In another development, the command warned the public to desist from the use of spy plate numbers, saying failure to comply may lead to prosecution, adding that the command will continue to fight against criminals and criminality in the state.
The Presidential Advisory Committee Against Corruption and sister agencies charged with fighting corruption in the country have joined other African Union member states in celebrating the 6th African Union Day of Anti-Corruption. Discussions at the event to mark the day centered on strategies and mechanisms for the transparent management of COVID-19 funds. Musa Luka reports.
The fight against corruption is one leg of the tripod which the Buhari administration is hinged on. This is because corruption is considered to be one of the major factors hindering development in country and the continent as a whole. To mark the 6th African Union Day of Anti-Corruption, the Presidential Advisory Committee Against Corruption collaborated with the Court of Conduct Bureau, the Economic and Financial Crime Commission, the Independent Corrupt Practices and Related Offences Commission, the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, and other stakeholders to discuss on the themes, strategies, and mechanisms for the transparent management of COVID-19 funds. Declaring the day open, Muhammadu Buhari, in a virtual address, emphasizes that corruption is an evil that requires all hands to be on deck to address.
May I use this opportunity to thank fellow African leaders for their individual and collective efforts in fighting corruption on our continent. I appreciate all of you for the confidence reposed in me being the African champion of anti-corruption. I understand that the theme for 2022 is strategy and mechanisms for the transparent management of coronavirus funds.
The chairman, Presidential Advisory Committee Against Corruption, Professor Ite Sage, was represented at the event by Professor Alemika.
The convention recognizes that corruption is not a public sector phenomenon alone, but also a private sector disease. And in our context in Nigeria, we know that this is actually very true.
Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, represented by the Permanent Secretary General Services, Maurice Namdi, affirmed that donations were received from public and the private sectors to assist the government in the fight against the pandemic, adding that the federal government is committed to ensure transparency in the management of the fund.
Donations were received from the public and private sector organizations, such as the Coalition Against COVID-19, CACOVID, the World Health Organization, the UNICEF, the United States government, that's the CDC, the UK Department of International Development, the government of Japan, and several other donors or partners.
Musa Luka, Trust TV News, Abuja.
The Federal Capital Territory Administration says its policy mandating parks to close by 7 p.m. has been in existence since 2005. It therefore says there is no truth in insinuations that the administration is implementing a religion-based policy. Ikaro Atta, Senior Special Assistant to the Minister of the FCT on Monitoring, Inspection and Enforcement, made these clarifications in an interview earlier from our studio.
A Christian head of state, if you allow me to go that far, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. It wasn't signed by President Muhammadu Buhari or even pushed by Malam Mohammed Musa Bello, the current FCT minister. It was a 2005 November signed park policy. That's the truth about it. There's nothing to do about Sharia. It's just about people who just largely feel anything non-alcoholic is Sharia. I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian. That's the truth. You can't tell me I'm implementing Sharia. That's the truth about it. The minister may be a Muslim, but I, as the chief enforcement officer of the city, I'm a Christian. That's the fundamental fact. We have the park policy, we have it gazetted here, and the policy states that in purple green spaces which are parked, you can't take alcohol. You can't stay above 10 p.m. If you want to take alcohol, you go to the lounges, the nightclub, the bar, the hotel, and others, and take your alcoholic beverages. That's what, because in most of these parks, the way they ought to be, sadly, the operators have turned them to something else. There are areas where those in the neighborhood go to their own park with their keys, ride their bicycle around, do all what they are doing, enjoy their time. It's not where you go, you can take soft drink, but not where you go, you have loud music, you have the whole road blocked from that period to 10 midnight, and everyone taking alcoholic beverages.
Atta also explained the reason for the flurry of demolitions in the FCT, warning that they will go on.
And stop doing enforcement, illegality must come back. That's the truth. If you look at what we have around this vicinity, it's highly secure. Nobody come around here and do anything wrong. But the moment the security man leaves, people will come and mess around the whole neighborhood here. Just remove your security man, remove everyone you find here, there will be lawlessness. So if the enforcement officers of the city daily go out with the machines to remove all illegalities, all contravention, because some of the contraventions are not even on people's houses. Like in Kuje, for instance, we told them the entire rail corridor that the rail services will pass through in Kuje, the train station, have all been given out by locals for houses. People have built 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom, beautiful houses. All we give way. All are going to give way. Some we see in Abuja here, they're going to give way. There are some that are on road corridor not yet constructed. They will all, the machines will work. And if the machines work and people know that you don't put illegality on the ground and go free, they will be cautious, they will be careful. But the day the machine stops, there is no measure you put on ground than that machine that was procured by public funds. There is no measure on ground than those civil servants that we are hired and paid by public funds. There is nothing than people like us who have been appointed political appointees and paid by public funds to do our job. When we fail to do our job, illegality will come back.
Iha Rata, Senior Special Assistant to the Minister of the FCT. The need to care for inmates of correctional centers across the nation to enable them live useful lives after their terms has been emphasized. The wife of Lamido Adamawa, Aishatu Barakindo, made the call during her visit to the Yola Old Custodial Center. Salis Lawan has a report.
Yola Old Custodial Center contains about 580 inmates, all Adamawa citizens, including men and women. She presented some items to the inmates.
On behalf of Royal Children Adamawa State, we are presenting this small gift to the inmates who are here. With me, royalty sisters, and we came and say Barkat al-Salah to you people and to.
Speaking shortly after receiving the palliatives for onward presentation to the inmate, the Deputy Controller in charge of the Yola Old Custodial Center, Nuru Mohammed, appreciated the gesture and appealed for assistance in areas such as education of the inmates.
They are here to realize what they have done so that they can have a change of what they have done, so that whenever they go back to the society, they will go back in a very good form and they'll conform with the norms and culture of the society, so that they can be a better people outside again. So coming here, you are coming here to help us to see that we have achieved the purpose of keeping this inmate here.
Represented by Gimbier Song, Hajia Aisha Tubamanga, the wife of the Lamido, while assuring of continuous support, explained that the visit was aimed at showing love and care to the inmates.
I feel touched because those people are our brothers, they are our sisters, they are our kids. Seeing them here in this house and then their colleagues are outside enjoying freedom life, and some of their colleagues are in school, while they are here. I feel touched as a mother. We came with a small gift that we'll give them to show them love, to tell them that we care and love for them. Then it's not like society has abandoned them here and forgotten about them. That's why we came here with a little gift for them.
The items provided according to the center will no doubt assist the inmates in their day-to-day lives. From Yola, Salis Lawan, Trust TV News.
The Lagos State government, through the Lagos State Resident Registration Agency, LASRA, has announced the planned formal launching of the upgraded Lagos State Resident Identity Card, LAG ID card, on Wednesday, July 20. This was made known by the General Manager of LASRA, Ibilola Kasumu, who said the new LAG ID card will be launched by the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, at the Police College, Ikeja GRA. The unveiling of the card is expected to happen simultaneously across the 5 divisions of the state, namely Ikeja, Badagry, Ikorodu, Lagos Island, and Ekpe. She emphasized that the LAG ID card project is pivotal to the Lagos Smart City initiative for key purposes of planning and distribution of infrastructure, security, social protection, financial inclusion, and disaster, as well as emergency response management, to mention a few. Harmful human activities like indiscriminate dumping of plastic wastes into rivers and the disposal of chemicals by industries are said to be some of the factors responsible for the extinction of many aquatic animals, as well as shrinking of the rivers. In this report, fishermen at River Kaduna say these other unhealthy activities have led to a reduction in the quality and quantity of fish they harvest from the river, as well as a decline in the river habitat, while experts believe aquatic animals would continue to go into extinction due to these activities. The report.
River Kaduna derived its name from crocodiles due to the abundance of these reptiles in the river in the past. Today, fishermen say they can hardly find any of them in the river. Yusuf is one of the fishermen along River Kaduna. He laments the drastic reduction in the quantity of fish from the river due to unhealthy treatment of the river by man.
We still have different species of fish, but the quantity has drastically reduced because of the shrinking of the river.
Abubakar Muhammad is an environmentalist and climate analyst. He says plastic waste kills aquatic life as it can stay for millions of years without decomposition.
Aquatic life majorly, they eat whatever they see within the water body. And some of them, if they, plastic does not dissolve or digest or even decompose on time. Plastic can stay millions of years without decomposition. Aquatic life will eat that. If they eat that, what happens is that it will make them to go into extinction. It's actually going to affect millions and millions of aquatic life that are living. That is why if you look at most of our rivers now, you hardly can find good quantity of fish in them.
One of the sources of protein is aquatic animals. He says if nothing is done to get rid of plastic in the river, it may affect food production.
This can actually bring about challenge in the production of food because one of the major sources of protein is from the aquatic life. You get it? So perhaps if we have shortage in the production of food, like especially protein, then you have so many people coming up with malnourished, malnutrition. That is people coming up with sickness like beriberi and so on and so forth.
The climate analyst says industrial wastes that empty into the river affect aquatic life, adding that discouraging indiscriminate dumping of plastic and the promotion of recycling activities will rescue aquatic life from further extinction.
Industries, they are wastes that they are allowed to run into the drainage, from the drainage to the water body, also affect aquatic life, especially petroleum wastes. You get it? They affect aquatic life because some of them can actually make this aquatic organism, it depletes the oxygen that is found in water. Most of these plastics, this petroleum waste, and some of this wood waste that they throw into water body can actually be refined for production. Yes, it can be turned into money.
Any other waste that comes to the river will decompose after some time, but the plastics wastes do not.
Experts say healthy aquatic life can be achieved by using fewer plastic products, participating in river cleanups, and supporting organizations working to protect marine life.
Now on the foreign scene, Sri Lanka's Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe has been sworn in as acting president as the country reels from an economic crisis and unrest. He replaces Gotabaya Rajapaksa, who fled to Singapore after unprecedented mass protests which saw demonstrators overrun the presidential palace. Protesters defied a curfew to celebrate his resignation during the night. Sri Lanka is experiencing economic chaos as it faces an acute shortage of food, fuel, and other basic supplies. The process of the parliament electing a new president will begin on Saturday, with MPs likely to take a vote in a week's time. Given the governing party has a majority, MPs are thought likely to back Wickremesinghe, who has close links with the Rajapaksa family. But whether Sri Lanka's public would accept this is another matter, because Wickremesinghe's resignation as prime minister was a key demand of protesters. Earlier this week, crowds stormed the former Prime Minister's compound, clashing with security forces. A demonstrator, Manuri Pabasari, said at the time that a protest rally against Ranil Wickremesinghe was expected in the coming days. A black man killed by police in a hail of bullets in the United States late last month was shot 46 times, the local medical examiner has said after a preliminary autopsy, as calls for accountability for the killing of Jayland Walker Mount. In a news conference on Friday morning, Dr. Lisa Kola, the Summit County, Ohio medical examiner, said Walker died as a result of blood loss caused by his internal injuries. She counted 41 entry wounds and 5 wounds from bullets that grazed him. Walker's killing in Akron, Ohio, a city of approximately 200,000 residents in the U.S. Midwest, set off protests and renewed demands for an end to deadly police violence against black people across the country. The 25-year-old was killed on June 27 after Akron police officers tried to pull him over for a minor traffic violation, and he fled. Now, Barcelona have signed Brazil forward Rafinha from Leeds United in a deal worth up to £55 million. Talking about sports now. The 25-year-old Brazilian forward was unveiled to fans at the Catalan club's training ground on Friday. Rafinha, who joined Leeds from French side Rennes for £17 million in 2020, made 65 Premier League appearances for the Yorkshire club, scoring 17 goals and providing 12 assists. Leeds United paid tribute to Rafinha in a club statement confirming his departure, and Rafinha scored a penalty for Leeds in a 2-1 victory at Brentford on the final day of the 2021-22 season that secured their place in the Premiership League. And now we join Adeniyi Ajishafe for more on sports.
2022 African Track Cycling Championship kickoff at the velodrome of the Moshood Abiola National Stadium, Abuja, with cyclists from 15 countries competing for medals and ranking points. A total of 35 men and women cyclists are flying Nigerian's flag at the Continental Championship. Jessica Gambari says Nigerian cyclists are ready to make the country proud as they have what it takes to rule Africa in cycling.
I'm happy to host African Championship in Nigeria in our home and also in our home track, so we expect more and to try our best to make our country proud. None of them, because no matter how strong they are, we are also strong and they are also scared of us.
Minister of Youth and Sport Development Sunday Dare, while declaring open the championship, assures participants of each free competition with the fact that Nigeria as host nation have what it takes to host African Continental Championship because there is support for cycling in Nigeria.
The fact that Nigeria was considered to host a 15-nation championship is a confirmation of the fact that there has been support for cycling in Nigeria. Recall when we had Koja in 2003, and then after Koja for a long time there was a hiatus, and we didn't have any cycling tournament here until 2019. You look at the distance, what happened that time? And then from 2019, we're back here 3 years later, hosting double the number of those we hosted in 2019.
President, Cycling Federation of Nigeria, CFN, Gandomenico Masari, believes the level of participation in cycling has improved considering countries taking part in the event.
For what we have seen, we have really the level of participation in terms of team, in terms of the number of the team is giving a very encouraging things. Let's even start thinking one thing. Compared to other specialty on cycling, like road cycling, mountain bike cycling, BMX, and so on, everybody can have or practice in the country.
Nigerian women cycling are defending champions in team pursuit and team sprint. Nigeria will compete in all 22 medal events at the African Track Cycling Championship. That's Sport News. I am Adeni Ajishafe.
And with that, we've come to the end of News Hour on Trust TV. For more news, connect with us on all across our social media platforms. I am Dieron Onifade. Have a nice weekend.